This year, I set out to read 100 books. That was crazy. But we're just over the halfway point, and I am not exactly on pace. Hi, if you're new here, that's okay, I am too. I am Scott Johnson. I write humor books about being a Midwestern dad who talks about sports too much. And apparently, I also read too many books for a guy with a day job, anyway. Today, we're going to cover what I've read so far in 2026, some of my favorites, my top 5, the funniest book I've read so far, so I'm a guy who's into humor books, the weirdest book that I've read so far, the most surprising one, and then what's my plan for the rest of 2026. So stick around. If you find that you trust me, I've got a free audiobook for you of my own humor essays. A link will be in the description. So let's get at it. Again, here's where I'm at. Midpoint year of 2026, 45 books, which is pretty good. But if you're familiar with math, you'll realize that 45 is not half of 100. Half of 100 is, say with me now, 50. So I am a little behind pace, but I've read 45 books, and it's been pretty cool. It's given me lots of fodder, and I'm now 45 more books, likely to annoyingly start a conversation with, well, I've read a book about that. So there's that. Some statistics. Breaking it down, I have read books in multiple formats. This is going to get controversial, probably, so just watch out. I've read 14 ebooks, mostly on my phone or some other device, 12 physical books, hard copies or paperbacks, obviously, which means, yes, I've left 19 books consumed by audio, 19 audiobooks. So yes, audiobooks are the majority of what I have read in the first half of 2026. By genre, I am mostly a nonfiction guy, and it's reflected in my numbers here so far in the first half of 2026. 7 fiction books, 38 nonfiction. That math works out. 19 of those books were humor books, or books at least that I thought were funny. That's kind of my shtick, things that I'm really interested in, humor essays, funny fiction, comedian memoirs, that sort of thing. I'm also really into sports books, and that's going to be reflected in some of my favorites so far of the first half. 9 of those books that I read were around sports, sports memoirs, or even fiction. I'll show you one of those. My 5 favorite books that I've read so far this year, or listened to, consumed, whatever. 5 that stuck out to me in 2026. And picking a favorite across those wide genres can be difficult, but here we are. These are 5 that stuck out. These books that I read this year in 2026 were not necessarily released in 2026. Some of them are much older that I just stumbled across now. But my first book that I'll mention of my top 5 was a new book, just came out this year. It was Heartland by Keith O'Brien. This tells the story of Larry Bird before he was Larry Bird, before he was Larry Legend. Larry Bird was my favorite player as a kid. So this was a really fun book for me to read. It's about Larry Bird's, some of his childhood growing up in Indiana, and that wild college basketball run at Indiana State. And if you aren't familiar with it, you're like, Indiana who? The Hoosiers? No, Indiana State. Larry Bird basically put them on the map. So it's a great sports story, especially if you're a Bird nerd like me. Book number 2 out of the 5 that really stuck out to me this year, of my 5 favorites that I've read so far, is another sports book. It is Calico Joe by John Grisham. And this one's a bit of a curveball, yes, pun intended, from the legal thriller guy, that John Grisham. Yeah, this is fiction. It's a baseball story about a young phenom, bitter veteran pitcher, one devastating moment, and the fallout that lasts for decades. Grisham, I didn't know this, but he clearly knows baseball. I would consider this historical fiction. It's not war fiction, it is sports fiction. So he mixes in like real players and real events from the time that this was supposed to take place, and he mixes it in with this rookie phenom. So it was really cool. Calico Joe. Book number 3 of the top 5 that are my favorites for 2026 is technically another sports book. I'll say more about that. It's Only Drowning by David Litt. And it's another sports book in that technically it's surfing. And to me, surfing seems like more of something you just try not to die rather than something where you're like scoring points and stuff like that. But anyway, it's a sports book, I guess. Written by David Litt. He is a former Obama speechwriter, and he learns to surf with his libertarian brother-in-law. And it's this complicated but very rewarding relationship, and it forms on neutral ground, or neutral water, as it may be, surfing in the ocean. Book number 4 out of my 5 favorites for 2026, first half so far. It's another sports book. That's just what it is. Big Fan by Michael Schur and Joe Posnanski. And I guess I'm just into sports books this year. But this one is about sports fandom. But it's not just sports. There's some other crazy fandom that's covered in this book. It's funny, it's smart, and it's painfully accurate about this irrational, emotional contract we sign when we decide to follow a team or a person or phenomenon. So this being a fan is certainly ridiculous and wonderful and terrible all at once, and they cover that. But they don't just cover football, basketball, baseball. They also dive into darts and pickleball and Taylor Swift and Star Wars. One of my favorite parts is when they try to hug baseball star Mookie Betts. I won't give any spoilers to if they actually succeed on this very strange goal that they have. 5th book out of my 5 favorites that I've read in the first half of 2026. It's not a sports book. Lab Girl by Hope Jahren. I did not expect one of my favorite books to be about plants. Yeah, it's basically about plants. I mean, I respect plants. They make oxygen. They provide shade. Some of them make French fries. Yeah, who knows? Jahren blends science, memoir, friendship, ambition, and she moves back and forth between these descriptions from the natural world and into her career, her own life in science. And it was really cool, really a great story. And in a way, it made me feel bad about my own garden. I think I should take care of plants better. Yeah, good book. The funniest book I read in the first half of 2026, Little Victories by Jason Gay. I'd never heard of Jason Gay, never seen him, never read anything from him before, but apparently Jason Gay is my spirit animal, I've decided. This one hit the sweet spot for me. It's just ridiculous humor essays, and they're about sports and parenting and life, and so it's sort of exactly kind of what I attempt to do as a humor writer. Little Victories. An honorable mention, this one did come out this year, The Land and Its People by David Sedaris. If you know David Sedaris, Sedaris is still Sedaris. He's odd, occasionally cringy, maybe more than occasionally. And you're not sure if you're really allowed to be laughing at what he's writing, but you do because it's funny. So, and this one did come out this year, and I got an advanced copy, so I felt special and honored. And it remains one of the premier humor essays working today. If you haven't read his stuff, you should check it out. The weirdest book that I've read so far in the first half of 2026 was Harold by Stephen Wright. If you know Stephen Wright, he is this deadpan, goofy comedian, and when he writes a novel, it's exactly as strange as you would expect. It's weird, dry, it wanders all over the place. It's very clever and very Stephen Wright. It doesn't move like a normal book. It kind of drifts sideways, and these thoughts are from a child's mind, and they're represented by birds flying through a picture frame. And he mixes in his deadpan jokes and observations. Very weird, but very fun. It's one book. Biggest surprise book of the first half of 2026 in my 100 book reading goal, A Very Punchable Face by Colin Jost. Why is that surprising? Well, it's surprising to me because I ended up liking Colin Jost. Not that I disliked him going in. I had no strong Colin Jost feelings before. Maybe a little bit of jealousy over that Scarlett Johansson thing, but that's nothing. But this memoir won me over. He's funny, he's self-aware, he's kind of nerdy, and just more likable than I expected. So it's a big surprise to me. So 100 books in 2026. Am I behind pace at 45? Yes, I am. Thank you for asking during this difficult time. But to stay on track for 100, yes, I should have hit 50 So that means I have 55 to go to read in the second half of the year. That's a little over 2 books a week. Is that doable? Yeah, I think so. So the plan: read shorter books, maybe lean harder into audiobooks. I know we talked about that. I'm counting them. Keep a book on my phone at all times. Keep a physical book nearby, and I absolutely do not in like October decide it's a great time to start this 900-page biography of the guy who invented the yoga mat. I don't know, unless it's funny, maybe then I'll read it. If you want more funny book recommendations like these, or sports books, or memoirs, or essays, or whatever, that's basically my whole channel, my whole blog. You can check out a link in my description for the full list of everything that I've read so far in 2026. It's active. I update it as I go. And you can get an update of where that progress goes. And if you want that free audiobook of my own humor essays, there's a link to that below too. Thanks. I'll see you in the next update.